Hello, this is Mari here again. I'm doing my third and final video blog for our Global Competency Project. Okay, so first, new thoughts about others. So this is mostly from the second experience at the Muslim Community Center, where I got to talk to all those ladies from the different countries that all have the same religion, who all are Muslim. And this is kind of obvious, but like, no matter who you are and no matter where you're from, you want to feel loved. You want to feel cared for somehow, in some way. Um, and Something that stood out to me was that this is even more so when you're in a place, far away from home, in an unfamiliar place. You're maybe a minority there. Um, and you just don't have a lot of people who understand you, um, or that part about you, and they're not really that interested in caring about it either. Um, but and the big thing that I realized, I'm sorry, the big thing that I realized is that when you are far away from home or in a place with a lot of unfamiliar people, unfamiliar things, that it can just be one thing. If you just have one big thing in common with the people around you, that makes a world of difference. It's a huge difference, and that can really be your grounder. Um, so, like, for these people, it was religion, and all of the people that I was talking to, like the ladies, one was from Yemen, one was from India, one was from um, Iraq, maybe, I think. But all of them were just like, they were talking to each other. They had never met before at this prayer session. Um, and yeah, they were just asking so many questions like, where are you from? How long you've been here? Um, what kind of activities do you do? Where do you live? And I could tell that when they were talking about like how many times a day they prayed, or like what religious things they partook in, that there were some discrepancies there, but it wasn't like they didn't really care. So I think that in addition, like when you are far away and when you are around a lot of people who aren't like you in that manner, when you're the minority in that situation, you do become a lot more accepting. So than you would have been if you were just at home with your normal group of people that are all like you, exactly like they practice exactly like you do. Um, so I thought that was really cool. And then new thoughts about myself. This one was kind of harder for me. So instead of, not so much a new thought, but it's more an expansion, I would say. Because I've always known that I have been very blessed my whole life. Like, I've always known that I've had a lot more things given to me than others. Like, I've always had two parents, unconditional love, never questioned if I would have food to eat or a warm bed to sleep in, new clothes, like none of that. Um, yeah, what was I saying? Oh, but yeah, so I only ever thought of it though, like in terms of like at the home, like parents, like things, like you don't have enough money, like you don't have things, and that sucks. But and this is more from the first experience I did, where I acted blind. When I was thinking about it, I thought, the only way I could do that, to experience that, was because I had these two friends with me, and they actually made the experience a lot better for me because these friends, like, they're very good people. Like, they communicate well, they're mature, they're just very calm. Um, they take things as they come to them. And what I was thinking of was that people who, again, like minorities, like working class people, they may not have that kind of support in that situation. So if they did somehow suddenly become disabled, they wouldn't have the kind of support that I do. Like, their parents may be working all the time, so they won't be able to help them. And their friends, too. Like, it's not just their home and lacking the things and the parental support. It's also their peers, because chances are their peers aren't that different from them. They also come from a working class home, possibly a minority home. So they themselves have their own problems that they have to deal with. Like they may not have transportation, so they can't come to that person to help them out. They have to look after their siblings. They spend all of their time and energy on themselves and trying to improve their own lives. They just don't have enough of that to spread around. Like me and my friends that I'm used to. Like that was never hard for us because we always had the resources and the means to do so. And and I also believe that like if you get a lot of love yourself, then you can give a lot of love as well. But the opposite of that is if you don't get a lot of care and attention and consideration, then you don't have a lot of that to give to others. So I think that really speaks to the fact that, if anything bad happens to you and you're in that kind of a situation where you don't have resources or support, it's just 10 times worse. Like anything small, like, maybe breaking your pencil or losing a pack of gum, like that's not a big deal to me, but, or having a school activity canceled, like a school trip, like that could be their only chance to leave the state or, go visit this town. So, and that's something I've noticed, especially through my new friends that I've had recently who also come from working class homes. They grew up by Detroit, but I've noticed that a lot, that small things just like can ruin their day. And they, that's just all they think about sometimes. And I used to wonder like, wow, they're getting hung up on such a small thing. But now that when I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. And kind of going into the implications for teaching from that, a lot of your students like that, they'll have small things happen to them, and like it might happen before they come to class, and they come to class and they're all pissed and angry, and you want to understand why first, and then you ask them, and it's something really small, like, oh, I lost a pencil, and then you might wonder why. There's got to be something more, but I mean, there is, because if they were like you and if they had the support and the resources, then it wouldn't be a big deal. But I think so. It's good to go in with the mindset that, especially if they're coming from a tough home situation, that at least every other day or every day they might come in really pissed or really emotional about something, because something small usually always happens to everyone, something bad, but something small, every day to every other day. And it's not a big deal to us, but it's going to be a big deal to them. So we have to put in that extra amount of consideration for them and be patient and try to understand where they're coming from. And as far as that one big thing having in common, like especially for minorities who won't have a lot of people to relate to, I think, the more effort that we can put in to incorporate their lives and their cultures into our lessons, I think, for us, that we might think it's not going to make that big of a difference, but I think for them it's going to make a huge difference. Like, I don't know how much we can really incorporate the big things, like their religion, but yeah, I mean, when you think about it, every day they're compromising and they're trying to adapt to this unknown, unfamiliar, foreign way of doing things, whether it be speaking or just culture, habits, what have you. So if they can put in that effort every day, then I think, whenever it's applicable, it makes sense for us to put in a lot of effort to try to incorporate, their culture and habits and values. Just so that, you can show them that I see the effort that you put in, and it kind of validates it, and it shows that you care and that you want to do the same for them as well. But yeah, so those are my thoughts, and thank you for listening.